Gary Musto, creative spirit, world traveler, philosopher, and friend. Gary resides in Beijing, China, and is the art production manager for Universal Studios. He is an author, a poet, a chef, and an artist. Meet Gary Musto.
So working as a model maker has really helped me doing theme parks when the nature of scale can be applied to anything, you know. So for me, my first day on the job doing theme parks, I was like, wow, this is a huge model, you know. The only difference is your materials, cost, time, and your tools. Other than that, it's just like a huge model for me. It's great fun. I feel I didn't really decide to be a model maker. It was I've been making models ever since I could hold a stick of glue, and so actually when I was 3, my mum tells me I asked for a pot of glue for Christmas. So, but the real choice came when I was sat down with my careers building advisor. She said, "Okay, you have to pick a university." I was like, oh, so I had this big thick book, and eventually I whittled it down to model making because it applied to 2D, fashion, and 3D. I guess my first memorable experience of building models was when I actually designed and built my first model all by myself. It was probably 5 years for doing model making. I did all the CAD work, liaised with the client directly. It was just my own project, and I did all the CNC cutting, and I did all the spraying and assembly. And that was like, very rarely do you get to have sole ownership of anything, you know, especially in theme parks. But that was like, this is my model. The love for poetry came second. First, it was more of a medical therapy to get through a bad relationship that I was in. But the true love for me is rhyming, finding what I've developed internal and external rhyme schemes with like double meanings, sometimes using different words, the same sounding word, but they're actually different words, but they actually can apply to the same meaning. So when rhyming can be very restrictive, but if you follow a theme and when it all comes together, it's magical. That's the true love. During the virus pandemic, I suffered a blood clot to my leg, so I had like a second bout of the absence of freedom, but this was more personal. But during that time, my saving grace was the friends that I had around me. My wife wasn't here at the time, so just seeing her face on FaceTime was, you know, just made all the difference. Just people putting together, often people that you wouldn't really like to ask for help, they offer you help, you know. So that was a saving grace because I was completely alone. During this time, when I injured my leg, I had a lot of time to think, especially on freedom, as I had absence of freedom for mobility, and it made me realise that as long as you're content in your mind, then that can override whatever's going on physically, you know. And as long as you're mentally stable, you know, that can affect the outcome of how you recover, you know. It made me realise if you're content in your heart and in your mind, that's the true freedom. During this time, I basically, all I could do was lay flat with my leg elevated, and I watched winter leave, spring come, spring go, and summer come all through my window. And there was a point where I was thinking, am I ever going to be able to walk, and I was seeing pictures of people post going to the mountains around Beijing, and I was thinking, I can't wait to do that. I actually did it last week and it was amazing. Yeah, it was really good. I got involved with the Great Human Connection project with a very handsome man called Matteo. As I was experiencing the lack of freedom, he offered me the chance to write on a topic of freedom. So for me it was very hard to resist, and writing is something that I've always been very passionate about, and I enjoy doing it, so that's how I got involved, and it's escalated and evolved into this beautiful beast over time, so I'm very glad and very happy to be a part of it. If I was to sum up human connection from a literal standpoint, being a poet, I would say for me it is that spark between complete strangers, just coming from nothing into something. That's kind of the essence of life, you know. 1 minute there's nothing, and all of a sudden there's something, and that's the human connection.